I'm so excited to show you this week's technology, Google Earth. On the buffet of technologies for this semester, we'll be learning more about Google Earth. Google Earth is an important classroom technology because you can visit anywhere in the world and give real purpose to virtual field trips. For instance, classes can look at the path of Hurricane Katrina, and pretty soon the Hurricane Dorian, which just affected our environment past couple of weeks. And then you can link to firsthand stories of people that are affected by this disaster. I looked on Google Earth and it looks like Dorian's imagery is not up yet, but it may be by the time you do this assignment. Okay, let's look at our objectives. It's not wanting to come over to your slide. There are two main purposes in this unit. The first is to get you really comfortable with using Google Earth, moving around, going to different layers in Google Earth from the ground layer and then looking into the stars to flying around to different countries and important places. In part one, you'll be learning how to navigate Google Earth, and then you'll be working in groups to complete your Google Earth scavenger hunt. Make sure that you have read Chapter 5 and take the Chapter 5 quiz. In Part 2, you're going to complete the Technology Activity Worksheet with standards from your dream classroom. You'll be writing at least 1 or 2 measurable and observable objectives, and then describing the activity, how you plan to use your Google Earth technology that you'll be creating. For the technology, you will be able to choose between 2 things. You can create a scavenger hunt of your own, similar to the one that we did in Part 1 with a visual answer key, or you can create a Google Earth narrated visual tour of at least 3 places. I'll be showing you those. Let's look at the agenda and outcomes for this week. In this video here, I'll take you on a Google Earth tour. I'll talk about how to navigate places that are of interest to you and show you examples of how students in the past have used Google Earth Pro for classroom activities. You can also watch a short video on creating Google Earth narrated tours by using the tool within Google Earth. Both of these demonstrations show Google Earth Pro. In Part 1, we're going to complete a scavenger hunt. In the scavenger hunt, you will sign up for one of 4 places on a Google document. For the activities in this unit, you can choose to use either the online Google Earth, or you can download the free desktop version of Google Earth Pro. Depending on what your needs are and what your plans are, might direct which or both of them that you will download. I would start off with the online Google Earth and then see how it goes from there. In this video, I will be talking to you about limitations of the online Google Earth versus the Google Earth Pro. So let's talk about the scavenger hunt that you will do in Part 1. In the scavenger hunt, you will need to find 3 of the mystery places that I provide for you on the scavenger hunt. There are a couple where you may need to use a history tab, which is only available in Google Earth Pro, or you may need to zoom in on a place to find it. Click on one of the Google Earth documents and place your name. Then go down to the scavenger hunt and choose 3 places that you would like to investigate for your scavenger hunt. if you are only using the online Google Earth and you don't see what you should be finding, you may want to choose something else and let someone else that has Google Earth Pro downloaded take that option. All right, so there are many ways to find different items in Google Earth. You'll see that you can need to infer the place. For instance, Mickey Mouse, you would need to infer where you might find a Mickey Mouse. There are other scavenger hunt items where you'll type in the latitude and the longitude, which is one way to move around in Google Earth. Or you may need to type in a specific location. Let's go ahead and I'll first demonstrate the online Google Earth. It's earth.google.com. And I will just simply click on Launch Earth in Chrome. So in order to use the online Google Earth, you need to have Google Chrome on your computer as a browser option. This will not work well in Internet Explorer or Firefox. Okay, let's start off by investigating the toolbar on the left-hand side. When you click on the three lines, this takes you into Google Earth's navigation. You'll see by clicking on the three lines, you can sign in or out as a user. It tells you what each of the icons stand for. So we're going to go to the first search area. Voyager allows you to investigate pre-planned trips that are already there. You can bookmark places and come back to them easily. You can choose a different map style, and you can toggle on and off your photos. I will be talking to you about when there's way too many photos that are confusing. Right now I'm going to toggle photos off. There's other settings, and you can even give feedback or ask for help. Right, let's begin by searching. So we'll click here on the search. And it's always great when you're new to Google Earth to start off with a place that you know. So right now I'm at the Great Basin College Center in Elko. So I'm going to start typing a name of a place, which is one way that you can search. And there are several Great Basin College centers. So you see that the Elko one pops up, the Great Basin College Library pops up, the Prump Center pops up, the Winnemucca Center pops up. So I want to be very descriptive of where I want that to go until I see one pop up that looks like it might be interesting to investigate. All right, so here is Great Basin College, and let's see. There's an information panel that pops up here that just comes, a lot of that information comes from Wikipedia. It doesn't always, but be aware that that is a Wikipedia site and may not always be accurate. I'll go ahead and close that off. And notice your tools here on the right-hand side. You can click on the circle, which is about the location. I'm going to go ahead and say yes, that I'm going to allow Google Earth to know my location. It's showing me in a thumbnail where I am right now on the Earth. So it could be really in any Western state, but it's somewhere to start off with. Now, you can move around with Google Earth by clicking on your mouse button and pulling and dragging to different areas. You can use the wheel on your mouse to zoom in and out. You can also zoom in and out with the plus and the minus signs. So right now I'm located here in the High Tech Center, if I take my Google Earth Street View and I pull that Street View off, notice this blue line that shows up. This is where a Google Earth car or a Google Earth backpack has been to visit. I say backpack because you can check out a Google Earth backpack and take that backpack on hikes that are recorded for others to view. So I can move along that area where that Google backpack has been or the Google Earth has been. Right now I'm using the arrow keys on my keyboard. For me, I find that's a really great place to move around, so I can turn to the right just like I would if I was standing in the middle of the street. I can look across the street. Okay. And I can even take a jaunty jog and run down the street. Okay, I'm going to deselect that street view, which will pop me back up in the sky. And let's go ahead and look at some of the other tools here on the left-hand side. So it's quite possible that some of you may be interested in teaching some kind of science or math. We do a lot of wonderful mathematics and science things in Google Earth. One of the things that I could do in a science class is I could look at these solar panels. So you see the solar panels here on top of the building that I'm in, and I could estimate how much power this building is receiving by measuring how big these solar panels are, and then doing a search and estimating how much energy solar panels of that size might give a building. In order to measure things, you'll see over here there is a ruler. So you can search by, you can measure things by centimeters, meters, kilometers, nautical miles, by inches, by feet. So I'm going to go ahead and measure these solar panels by feet. And you'll see I'll just click in the corner. And keep in mind that this isn't completely solar panels, but it will give me a rough estimate. All right, so we have around 366 feet of solar panels. I can maybe round that to 350 feet because we have that little piece of roofing showing through. And then estimate how much electricity 350 feet of solar panels might give this building. All kinds of things that you can measure here. You can measure the amphitheater, go out into different areas, measure how big this track is, how many times around that track you might need to run a mile, all kinds of things. So start off with somewhere that you know, perhaps your house, your place of business, where you are, and play around with the tools there with something you know. So I'll just say start over, and then I can close that tool. Now, one thing that I love about Google Earth is the ability to visit places all around the world that you would never be able to take a classroom to. Imagine if you were teaching about volcanoes. I think that standard might be maybe in the 5th or 6th grade or so. Let's go ahead and visit some of these volcanoes. One that pops into my head is Mount Rainier. So I'll just type in Mount Rainier there, and then choose which one makes the most sense. So here is Mount Rainier National Park. So that might not be the actual mountain. That might be a really big area around the mountain. And this one says Mount Rainier, Washington. So I'm going to go ahead and click there and see if it will take us right to the volcano. Oh my goodness, did it ever. We are right on top of the volcano, and this image was taken at a time where it was, that's right, very cold. Look at the snow. I'm going to zoom out. I like to really make sure that students have an understanding of where we are in the world. Zoom around here. Okay, so you have seen that I have zoomed out quite a way so that we can see the United States. Now I'll pull and I'll zoom in a little bit more. And here we can see the state of Nevada, California, Utah, maybe some familiar things that students might know. And I would ask the students, let's look at these colors. What do you think this blue might mean? What might this blue up here be? What are these green areas? What are these brown areas? Why are they brown? Why are they green? And when we zoom into Mount Rainier, let's look at colors and shapes as well. Okay, so here we are on the top again of Mount Rainier. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. And let's talk about what kind of volcano this is and what clues that we have by looking at this picture. So Mount Rainier is a stratovolcano, and you can see that they're very steep-sided, and they're composed of many layers of volcanic rock, usually made from high viscosity lava, ash, and rock debris when it explodes. Mount Rainier and Mount St. Helens are both examples of this type of volcano. So let's zoom out and let's see if we can get an understanding of how steep this volcano might be. This would be very difficult to climb, wouldn't it? Okay, let's go ahead and look at another kind of volcano. Let's look for one with gentle slopes. How about we zoom over to Hawaii and go to Mauna Loa. So look, there's a Mauna Loa South Kona, and then there's a Mauna Loa, Hawaii, USA. Let's choose that one. Though they both would get us there, we might have to kind of play around a little bit. Let's see if we can get a little bit closer there. There we go. That looks better. We were on the wrong island. Okay. So let's look at this volcano and compare and contrast it to Mount Rainier. So here when we zoom in, it's very, very flat. We don't have this steepness that we did with Mount Rainier. There's a little bit of steepness here. You can actually follow these dark areas. These are lava flows that are more current lava flows that actually are flowing off this long, gentle slopes of this mountain and go right here into the ocean, and they're actually creating more island. Might be good to talk to students, what are the brown areas? We know that this black are new lava flows. What happens when the lava flows get old and things start growing on them? Okay, I'm going to take you over to Google Earth Pro. The online Google Earth, it does not have a history tab, so I've really missed that. Let me go ahead and open up Google Earth Pro so you can look at both kinds. And this is something that you would have to download. You may or may not need to download that for the assignment in this unit. So keep in mind, just look and see what your needs are, and if the online Google Earth can meet those needs, I would go ahead and use that. But if you need more robustness, for instance, the History tab, you may want to download the Google Earth Pro. So you can see right away that Google Earth Pro, there's a lot more going on here, that it's more robust than the online Google Earth. You can choose to toggle on and off different layers. Some of my favorite layers to toggle on and off would be borders and labels. So for instance, you see these yellow lines, and if I can scroll down, you see different lines that are around different states. I actually had a student share an experience where a student in her kindergarten class, after they had worked on Google Earth, was asking where, I think the lines were yellow at that time. They may have changed the lines to this kind of purple color, but the lines for the states were yellow at that time. And the student lived in Wendover, and they were going to Salt Lake City. And they were really upset because they were trying to find that yellow line that that separated the state of Nevada from Utah. So make sure when you are using different tools that you think about the misconceptions that students might have and really address those misconceptions before those misconceptions are made. So I would be for sure to mention that these lines aren't real lines. They just show us on this map where those states begin and end, but they aren't real lines that you would see on the ground. So you can toggle on and off those lines. And keep in mind that Google Earth, that most of the images are flat. They're satellite images where a satellite up in the sky comes and takes pictures, and those pictures are flat. There are several of the newer satellites that can build 3D images, but most of those will not be found in Google Earth yet, but they will be found in military satellites and things students might see on the TV. However, artist renditions, if you click on 3D buildings, those are artist renditions of different sites using software called SketchUp or something similar, and they give us an idea of what those might look like. All right, let's first investigate the History tab. It's up here on the left-hand side. You'll see a clock with a backwards arrow. And one place to go look for History tab is whenever we have a big natural disaster. It takes some time to upload the newest images to Google Earth, but let's look at a tsunami in Japan that happened on March 11th of 2011. So I'm going to type in the area of Japan, Rishi Station in Japan. And one thing that I really like about Google Earth Pro is that you know exactly what the date of that imagery is. It's not so apparent in the online Google Earth. So right here at the bottom, you'll see this image date was taken on 10/23 of 2017. It also tells you the longitude and the latitude, and the eye view. So right now we're 3,370 feet above the ground. So I'm going to turn off 3D buildings right now. And let's look. Let's go to the History tab. And this is the newest image. If I pull this bar clear to the right, the newest image of this area was from April 19th of 2019, so a pretty recent one. You see lots of buildings here up towards this area and very few buildings right around the coastline. Let's go back in history. Let's go before that tsunami hit. So here is, we need to get before 2011. So here we have this area in Japan on May 31st of 2010. And look at all the buildings there, all around the coastline. It's very lush and green, lots of people that are living there. We can zoom in and we see lots of small fishermen boats. We might be able to see some bigger tankers, maybe not in this picture, but another one, some bigger tankers that might be loading produce and different items made from the area. So we have lots of people living here. Let's fast forward here just a little bit. So here we are right in the middle of the tsunami. The tsunami's happening right now, March 11th, 2011. So let's zoom in a little bit more and look where all those buildings were. They are flattened. This is right in the middle of the tsunami. Let's go a little bit past that. And here we are 2 weeks later, and that tsunami has not only flattened all of the buildings and roads right here, but look how far it has gone down into that valley. Okay? Very devastating to those people and families there. Let's fast forward now. And let's see some current day. We still have a lot of fishermen, a lot of stuff going on there. They are not building so close to the edge of the water. And you can see they've started to build up here a little bit away from that edge. So that's a really great way to go on a virtual field trip, not only to a place far away from us, Japan, but also look at the historical status of something that has really changed the people's lives there in the environment. All right, let's see what else we can see here. Let's bounce back here. This is back to the GoogleEarth Online. Let's see what else. So let's look at what happens to airplanes when they get old and they are not worthy of being up in the air anymore. Let's go to Davis Monthan Air Base, and we will click on the Boneyard. Again, I like to zoom out and look at where are we in the world. Get kind of a big picture of that first. So here's Nevada and California, and here we are down south and a little bit to the east in Arizona. So I'll go ahead and click on that link again now that we know where we are. And this is by Tucson, Arizona. And this is where U.S. military planes go to be decommissioned. It is called the Boneyard, and there's 2,600 acres of airplane cemeteries of steel. It's actually closed to the public. So if you were to drive there in your car, you wouldn't be able to go to the base to actually look at it. So we can really get a good virtual tour here. If you're a connoisseur of planes, you would be able to zoom in and you would be able to virtually see many of the different planes that the military has flown since World War II. There's B-52s, there's F-14 Tomcats, all in various stages of decay. So let's zoom in and look at some of the smaller airplanes here. Oh, there we have some helicopters. How fun is that? Looks like some kind of jet plane. Some other military kind of planes. But if you know what you're looking for, you really could see some different kinds of planes and be able to easily identify them from this boneyard. This is an interesting one. That looks like an old Navy plane, it says on the side. Okay, we have seen a cemetery for airplanes. Let's go ahead and look at a human cemetery. Let's go to Arlington National Cemetery. If any of you have been there, you'll know that it's a really powerful experience going to the Arlington National Cemetery. So this is found in Arlington, Virginia, close to our state capital. Again, I'm going to zoom out and let's get an idea of where in the world we are. Give the macro view. Okay, so now here we are on the eastern part of the United States. We can look at the different states that are around us. And I will zoom in here. I'll zoom in close to Washington. And again, click here on the Arlington National Cemetery. Okay, let's zoom in and let's look at what do you imagine are all these little white dots. Let's go to our street eye view and see if we can get a better look at those. I'm going to go down here to our navigation, grab my street view guy and just drop them off there on one of the blue lines. So this is the Google Earth car that has driven along this road. And I can move forward. I can turn around using the arrows on my keyboard. Look how straight those headstone lines are and how numerous and many there are of those that have given their lives to protect our rights in our country. Pretty amazing. Okay, let's look at another area. I would like to take you, I'm going to move over to Google Earth Pro for this one because I really like the 3D images. So I'm going to click on my 3D buildings here. And remember, these are artist renditions. Let's go clear around the world and let's go to the Great Pyramid of Giza. So the Great Pyramid of Giza is one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Only one still exists of the 7, and that is this Pyramid of Giza. So the Great Pyramid is the largest in Egypt, and it was a structure that was built, we think, more than 4,500 years ago. So I'm going to back out again and again start off with that macro view of where we are in the world. So here we are, we see Egypt right here, we see the continent of Africa, we see Europe up here, and now we kind of zoom in a little bit more. We see the Gulf of Suez, and let's now double click on that, and it will take us right into a closer look at the pyramid. So you'll actually see that there are a series of 3 pyramids here. There is an idea that these were built to look like Orion's belt, to make a image of what the people 4,500 years ago were seeing in the sky. And let's zoom down closer. And you can see this is an artist's rendition of what this pyramid looks like. If I were to deselect the 3D buildings, you'll see this is the actual satellite. This is the flat view of what is reality. And if I click on 3D buildings, this is an artist's rendition of that. I'm going to go up here, and this orange guy, this is my street view. So I'll grab my street view and drop it on there. So this is someone with a Google Earth backpack that has wandered around, and we can lift our chin up here in Google Earth Pro by mousing over this area, and you can turn your chin up, you can turn your chin down, you can look to the right. Or look back to the left. Okay. I'm going to exit the street view. And let's look at what else. Oh, let's look what else might be here. Okay, so here we are, and we see the 3 pyramids here. Let's use our mouse and we can zoom down. You can also use these tools here to zoom down. And let's investigate, discover what this is right here a little bit closer. What shape or animal do you think that might be? So this creature made of stone is called the Great Sphinx. It's in a figure like a lion, but with a man's face, probably one of the ancient kings. It's carved entirely out of a single outcrop of limestone bedrock. So this was a big piece of limestone rock, and it was carved out of one big piece. The Sphinx's face faces the rising sun. Let's zoom in a little bit more. Bring our head up. Over the centuries, the statue stone has suffered damage from groundwater, eroding wind, and modern air pollution. Its nose was shot off in the 16th century by Turks who used the Sphinx as target practice. Okay, we've taken a tour around the world. Let's go back to our agenda and outcomes and look at instructions for part 1. So for part 1, you're going to go to the scavenger hunt. Let me open up the scavenger hunt again. Pick 4 different areas. So for instance, I just did one for you. Let's see, what number was that? Number 4. We've already done 2 together. Giza. If these great burial tombs are good enough for the pharaoh, they're good enough for me. So that was the clue to go to the pyramids of Giza. So what I would do is I could either use the snipping tool that comes in Windows. If you have the free Gene software loaded on your computer, you could take a screenshot of that. I'm going to show you how to use the snipping tool. So I'll click on my Windows button and type in SNIP, and you'll see snipping tool comes up. That actually is the Sphinx there, so I want to make sure to get the Pyramid of Giza. Okay, so when the snipping tool comes up, I'm just going to choose New, and I can choose a rectangle, and I'll hold my mouse key down and drag. It took a snapshot of that area that I drew the picture around, and I'm going to say File, Save As, and save this somewhere where I can find it later. Okay. So then on the scavenger sheet, I'm going to put that I solved number 4. So I need to do 4 of them. Make sure to choose ones that no one has chosen yet. So I'll put 4 there, and then maybe I'll choose number 9, maybe I'll choose number 12, and maybe number 7. Okay, those are the ones that I'm going to be responsible for. So underneath the scavenger hunt, I'm going to type my name. And this is number 4. Type what it is. Then I'll click on Insert and go to Image. And I will upload from my computer. Find where you save that image. And I have taken care of number 4. Oh, there we go. All right, so the next one I would need to find is 9. And for number 9, I would type in these coordinates. And remember, to find some of these, you might need to use the History tab in Google Earth Pro. If you aren't able to find that and you're only using the online Google, you may want to choose another number. All right, so that is the assignment for part 1. And you do not need to submit this to me. I have access to all of the Google Earth scavenger hunts. So just adding your information to the document will submit that for you. All right, let's look at week 2. You can choose between one of 2 projects. Both projects you need to create, create and submit the lesson activity worksheet with appropriate standards chosen for your dream classroom, at least 2 measurable and observable objectives, and a detailed activity plan how you plan to use one of the 2 projects in that classroom. One of the project options that you can choose from is creating a Google Earth scavenger hunt of your own. you need at least 12 places. I know for the pre-K and kindergarten and first grade, you might not use all 12 places. You might use maybe 3, but this is just good practice for you. But keep in mind that in the workplace, in reality, we would definitely scale what we need to for our dream classrooms. So you would find 12 places, create a scavenger hunt, and you need to do a picture answer key. So you would need to create an answer key like we are creating as a group down below here. All right, that is project option number 1. Project option number 2 is you create a Google Earth narrated tour. This must be narrated by you. Keep in mind that you'll want to practice moving to these 3 places, and you'll want to write down a script or at least an outline of a script. So be comfortable moving around, be comfortable where you want to go, going to the street view at different levels. It's important to create a small 15-second test video. This does not need to be submitted in the class, but it's a good way to make sure that your mic is loud enough and it's working, and that you're comfortable moving around for your virtual tour. You can use a download of free download of Gene. You can use you can go to Screencast-O-Matic, which is a great option, or some other video making tool. It's up to you. Let's look at some examples of virtual tours that have been done in the past for this second option of project. So here's some examples here. Let's, in order to look at these examples that have the KMZ, you have to have the Google Earth Pro loaded on your computer. So let's look at, let's go to this transportation one. And so I will click on that file and you'll see that it will download. All right, now that that file is downloaded, I already have Google Earth Pro open, and I will click on open here, and it's downloading that file. Let me pause here. So this was created for pre-K. It was a transportation lesson. Let me go ahead and I will press play for a second, and you can listen and see what virtual tour of 3 places she created.
To another. This is Lake Tahoe. Let's pretend I want to get from one side of the lake all the way to the other side of the lake. One way I could do this is by walking. This might take a little while because Lake Tahoe is a big lake. I could also drive around Lake Tahoe. This yellow line is a road. I could follow this road all the way around and get to where I'm going. But I can also take a boat from point A all the way to point B and float across the lake. If I have a motorboat, this would be fast. But if I had a rowboat, my arms would get really tired, and it might take me a little while. Now let's go to Elko. That's where we are right now. This is Elko. Now let's pretend that I have a brother who lives in Denver. I could drive to Denver by following this yellow road all the way to Denver. On the same road, I could also take a bus. Elko has a bus station inside of a gas station, and this is where people buy their tickets and get on the bus. We can take it all the way to Denver, following the road. And there is Denver's bus station. Now another way that we can get from Elko to Denver is by train. Let's go see Elko's train station. This is Elko's train station. Elko has 2 railroad tracks running through it.
Okay, I think that you get an idea there. Notice that there is a very distinctive script that the student sounds very smooth, that she knows where she wants to go. She has evidently been to those areas using Google Earth and is very familiar with whether she wants to go to the street view and places that she wants to visit. So there's a whole bunch of tours here that if you have Google Earth Pro downloaded, you can go ahead and watch those for this activity. Okay, let's go here to the assignment. Keep in mind that part 1 of the assignment is doing the group scavenger hunt. If your group has, if the first one that you click on has 4 names, that means that group is full. So the sooner that you go in there, you will have more choice in the scavenger hunt items that you choose to do. That is in week 1 along with your quiz on chapter 5. Week 2, you're going to complete the lesson activity worksheet with standards, both the number and the description for each of the standards, at least 2 measurable and observable objectives. Please make sure not to use the words learn, understand, comprehend, grasp. Those things happen in a student's head, and students keep kind of popping those into your lesson activity worksheet. So don't use words that we cannot observe. Go back to your Helpful 100 worksheet to help you find measurable and observable objectives. Then write a description of which activity that you have chosen and how you plan to use it in the classroom. Make sure that you attach the scavenger hunt with the clues and a picture answer key showing what the answer should look like. Or you can choose to create a Google narrated tour. This can be created by different video creation tools. There is also a video creation tool within Google Earth Pro. Get there. So this icon right up here on the toolbar that looks like a web camera, it can create a video of you moving around in the Google Earth Pro. You can also use the Screencast-O-Matic or other options that you choose. If you're using this option within Google Earth Pro, make sure that when you record, you click on both the red button and the microphone. If you don't click on both of those, it will not be recorded or we will not be able to hear you. So if you click on both of those buttons, right now it's recording everything that I make on the screen along with my voice, and move around to the different areas where you want to visit. For instance, I'll get over here to Europe, and maybe I want to look at the Colosseum. It'll take a minute to render today. And then when you are done with showing us at least 3 places, keep in mind that your video needs to be less than 5 minutes. All right, 3 places in less than 5 minutes. I will click on the red box to stop. both of those buttons. And you'll
Right
hear now that it's
recording everything
replaying.
that I make on the screen.
You'll see that it is replaying what I've done on the screen along with my audio. It's important for you to do that quick 15-second check to make sure that your audio is loud enough and that we are able to hear you clearly. If you like what you've done, you click right here on the Save button. And you will now see an icon that looks like, oh, it gave this a name, that looks like a microphone. Or, sorry, it looks like a web camera. I think this has frozen on me. Yeah, may have frozen on me. That's okay. All right, once you have clicked on the Save button, it's asking for a name. And I will type a name in here. Of my tour of 3 places. And I will click on OK. It shows up here under your places on the right-hand side. You can right-click on Roam Virtual Tour. Click on Save Place As. And save your virtual tour file somewhere you can find it and submit it with your lesson activity worksheet. The other option might be to go to Screencast to record your video. If I go to Screencast-O-Matic, and I'll launch the free video recorder. You choose the size that you want to record. We're going to choose the screen. Make sure that we have our Google Earth up there. And when I click on Screen and Record, now it will record my voice and anything that is in this selected area. Make sure again to do that little test to make sure that your microphone is working well. Here you have these bars that can help you know that. This will create a web link that you can place on your lesson activity worksheet. Okay, there you go. There are your assignments for this unit. I hope you have a wonderful time. Google Earth is really powerful and it really can be used for any grade level depending on how much creativity you have. Have a great week and I look forward to looking at your tours.